Jessica, let me ask you a question.
Okay.
Do you think God is all-powerful?
Yes.
Do you think he's powerful enough to make a rock that he himself can't pick up?
Oh, this. One of these. No.
No? Are you underestimating my Jesus?
No. That's why I'm saying he can pick it up, no matter how heavy.
But he can't make a rock that he himself can pick up. I'll tell you what's going on here. You're thinking too three-dimensionally. The answer is yes. On a fourth-dimensional level, he can make a rock that he can't pick up. But at the same time, he can pick the rock up. He cannot pick it up and...
You mean he could choose not to pick it up?
Yeah.
So literally, he makes all sorts of rocks and chooses not to pick them up.
That's what we're saying.
Okay.
I think we cracked the code. We figured out the meaning of life. This is incontrovertible proof. What? Take that, atheists.
What?
Never underestimate my Jesus. You're telling me that there's no hope. I'm telling you you're wrong.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to Sadie Hawkins' pod.
Hello. Hello, atheists. Welcome back to our podcast. You're all welcome. Everyone's welcome here.
Heck yeah.
Inside the doors of Sadie Hawkins' pod.
The doors.
HQ. This is probably the most Christian song. Now, I do want to raise one question before we get into the song this week. Do you think this song's about Jesus? Are we sure it's not about a girl?
I think it might be.
Are we sure it's not about a girl? Well,
or his friend named Jesus.
That's an excellent point. You cracked it open. You cracked it open. Incontrovertible proof. There you go, atheists. You were all correct the whole time.
Oh, no.
So we don't have any top of the show business to speak of?
No, what are you doing, Relient K? Come on, get on it. Give us some top of the show business.
Yeah, did anything happen in the world of Relient K? I mean, I know Switchfoot had a big week. They had their big hour version of Beautiful Letdown came out. Like, they re-recorded that album. That's good.
That's fun.
I assume they re-recorded Beautiful Letdown off of the success of... I can't remember the name of the album now. the MGK album where he's also in an empty pool. So they're like empty pool albums.
Tickets to My Downfall.
Tickets to My Downfall. They're like empty pool albums are having their moment. Time to redo Beautiful Letdown.
Sure. Of course.
What else? What else is going on? How are you feeling, Jess?
Feeling good.
Feeling good?
Feeling fine.
We started our it's not Lamaze officially, but kind of like a Lamaze type class.
Yeah, the birth classes and the after the baby comes out classes.
There's a lot of stuff about birth that I was kind of familiar with. Like none of it was news to me, and like they show 2 actual birth videos. This is an online class, a Zoom class. I wasn't, like, shocked or disgusted by them. I didn't pass out or wasn't in any danger of passing out.
I was very proud of you for not passing out, Danny.
Because I was familiar with the concepts with the realities of childbirth. I've been
now,
taught
when we're
these
actually
things.
there on the day, it's entirely
that's
likely that Danny will pass out.
That's the difference between going to the movies and seeing theater, or live music and listening to a recording. Like, seeing it live can just be a whole nother experience, and you're just, like, overwhelmed.
Sure, all those extra dimensions.
The only part I was, like, really surprised about and had never had this explained to me, in sex ed or health class or any of that stuff, or at the Museum of Science, was that the baby, like, goes through the pelvis.
Right.
I didn't think about that.
Right.
I'm like, yeah, I guess that's how it would work. They showed us she picked up a skeleton of a pelvis And she took a baby doll, and she's like, here it goes. And I'm like, oh, I never thought of that. You know what I mean? You're like, you kind of don't think about the bones in the way. You think like, oh, baby's in the belly, baby goes out the birth canal.
Right.
Makes total sense. Pelvis.
You didn't think about all the stuff that's in the way.
Yeah, I didn't think about the pelvis being there. I'm like, wow. Shows you the amazing nature of creative design, that God put that circle in the pelvis there for the babies to be born. Take that, atheists. Think about it for a second. But then you find out that there's a little nub on the pelvis that actually blocks the baby from easily passing through. So I guess the atheists were right.
Oh my gosh, Daniel Leary.
It was all very fascinating stuff. And we still got
4 more classes. 2 of each series.
Yep.
I guess they'll teach us the Lamaze breathing eventually. We learned calming breathing this last time. The teacher kept being like, and then this part is going to be really painful. And then this part, it's going to be really painful. And I was like, I like that they do this now when it's too late.
But no matter how they explain how painful it's going to be, they're never going to be able to explain to you exactly how painful it is until you get there. You could almost say those words are not enough. So just like this week, we're discussing those words are not enough. Wait.
No, we're talking about for the moments I feel faint.
Oh. So, well, that's one thing right off the bat is I think we talked about this when we talked about those words are not enough, but these 2 songs are kind of peas in a pod. Right?
And they were on a single release together.
Oh, right. That's right. Yes, they were.
Yeah.
We talked about that with Those Words Are Not Enough. Those Words Are Not Enough, written by Matt Hoops.
Right.
For moments I feel faint.
I know, you just want to say, never underestimate my Jesus.
Yeah, why don't we start there? The song is called... the song actually has a couple of titles, but the song is called... For the Moments I Feel Faint. The song is called For the Moments I Feel Faint. But everybody just wants to call it Never Underestimate My Jesus, because that's the chorus. It's a very effective chorus. Mm-hmm. It gets down to the core of the song for me, and I'm leaving my cynicism at the door. You know me. I have cynicism... in droves, especially when it comes to Christian media and all this stuff. But like this, I'm not approaching this song this week with that cynicism. This is a very effective and very simple worship song with very little bells and whistles in terms of the writing. There's a ton of bells and whistles in the production, but when you just break this song down to its songwriting core, it is the simplest, most genuine expression of just simple like admiration and worship for Christ. That's it. There's like in a beneficial way. This is not an insult. There's so little necessary, so little going. I guess if I was about to say so little going on, but no, there's a ton going on. There's just so little necessary. It's like a 3 ingredient meal. It's the simplest but most effective way to have pulled this song, write this song, and bring it to the album. But yeah, everyone wants to call it Never Underestimate My Jesus. And every time the song has come up in the history of the podcast, I always say, for Never Underestimate My Jesus, even though I'll always, in any other random episode, I'll say, Never Underestimate My Jesus, which it's not called. That's how I'll call it.
Right.
So it's funny that they call it For the Moments I Feel Faint, which is not a lyric in the song. So creatively, that is a title that they devised. Who knows? That's a good question to write down for Matt Thiessen someday. How did you come up with the title For Moments I Feel Faint? Because that's not a lyric in the song, but you can kind of see how stylistically, thematically, poetically it ties together. But everyone wants to call it Never Underestimate My Jesus. Part of me, slight cynicism, just slight cynicism. I wonder if they didn't want to call it Never Underestimate My Jesus because they thought that that title seemed a little corny for a Relient K song. A band that obviously has tons of corn.
I was going to say.
Yeah, I mean, the song after this is about the Thundercats.
Far more corny than Korn.
But I just feel like there's a certain flavor of corn that you would come to expect.
Right.
Oh, no, that's Disturbed.
This is only their...
that's not corn.
This is only their second album, too. So they're in full-on goofy Relient K mode here.
Right. But so I guess I mean, like, would a title Never Underestimate My Jesus, one of two things. Would it just be too on the nose, and they wanted something just a little bit more poetic, a little bit more enticing? And the other thing is, like, and this is a little cynicism, but did they not want a track that when you turned it over, it literally said Jesus in the song title? Because were they thinking that would kind of scare people away?
Right.
And that's kind of what I was getting at with the idea of corny, where you're going to market this as, in Christian bookstores, as here's a replacement for Blink-182, and here's a replacement for Simple Plan or whatever, and Sum 41, but if you turn it over, if you hand this to a kid you're trying to get to stop listening to secular music, and they turn it over and they see a song called Never Underestimate My Jesus, they'll be like, nope. Right? So it's like, did they come up with, even though it's in the music, you can't hide it in the music. They don't want to hide it in the music. That's the message. That's the point. But was it just something to sort of, not scare people off from the beginning? Like, it's sold in Christian bookstores. I'm just saying.
No, I totally get it.
And I was on the nose to call
I was
it
just
Never
looking into it, and I'm
Underestimate
like,
Jesus.
do MXPX have any songs with Jesus in the title?
They do not.
Nope. So, like, maybe that was a thing. If you were a cool rocky punk band at that time, you're like, no, we're too cool to put Jesus in the title. We don't want people thinking they're getting, like, a DC Talk album or something. There's no, like, Jesus Freak songs on here.
Right. So there's a couple of titles for this song, because not only is it actually called For the Moments I Feel Faint, and not only does everyone want to call it Never Underestimate My Jesus, but it originally appeared on the All Work and No Play demo as the song C.U.R.B, which is an acronym, C.U.R.B, which I think I have an answer for, but we'll come back to that when we talk about that song as a whole. We're going to talk about the demo in its own section. We'll keep talking about the regular song first. But yeah, it started called C.U.R.B, and the original C.U.R.B was sung by Matt Hoops. We're going to play it a little bit later on, but it's Matt Hoops singing most of the original version of this song when it was called C.U.R.B. And then here, but on the record, on the regular record, on Anatomy of the Tongue-in-Cheek, it is Matt Thiessen singing the whole thing.
So, a question, because I did not listen to C.U.R.B ahead of time, and you asked me not to, because you wanted my live reaction to something. Are we getting British Hoops? Is that what's coming? Is that why you didn't want me to
British
listen to
Hoops. No, he's not singing in a British voice. There's no real life British Hoops. I just like to imagine, after having done British Thiessen on the podcast, I'm British Thiessen. I just like the idea that, British Hoops is like, oh, it's me, British Hoops.
It's very snooty and
very
refined.
Snooty. I'm an electrician.
Sounds more like he works for, I don't know, Parliament or something.
No, I would imagine, you're right. I was thinking because of 1981 inventions that British Hoops would be a tradesman, like an electrician tradesman. But you're right. He's so snooty. Would he be a white-collar British guy? But are there, like, upper-class sort of electrician guys in the UK? Because trade is such an important thing.
Yeah.
There's a whole system for trade
in
the UK that doesn't necessarily exist here outside of, like, adult learning centers and colleges where they teach you trade. But anyway, I don't know. There's no British Hoops on this, but we'll come back to the demo in a little bit. It's a totally different experience from this song, so we're gonna treat it almost like it's its own cover, even though actually, realistically, it's the first version of the song. So yeah, this is a worship. So we'll get back to For the Moments I Feel Faint. For the Moments I Feel Faint, super effective, incredibly simple concept for a song. like I said, it doesn't feel like there's any bells and whistles. There are so many covers of this song, so many bedroom and church covers. I think the only other song that rivaled this in terms of how many covers are on YouTube of people just picking up an acoustic guitar and playing this was Curl Up and Die. Curl Up and Die had over 100 acoustic covers. And I'm pretty sure that this song rivals that, especially since when you go on YouTube, you have to type Relient K cover For the Moments I Feel Faint, and you have to type in Relient K cover Never Underestimate My Jesus,
Right.
and then you get even more covers. So
I totally get it too, because this is what I love about it. I love that first minute of like the campfirey nature of the song. And I think that's why, and then the strings come in and it's like so pretty, but it absolutely lends itself to just like sitting around the campfire with your acoustic guitar, singing a nice little praise and worship song about how in Christ we can do anything. Because that's what it is.
And I don't know enough about the history of worship music. I just know kind of my time when, you know, I was going to church more, and how I think of like basically that 90s praise and worship songs, like those songs that the Insiders did with Hallelujah 1 and 2. Like I'm not talking specifically about the versions they did, but all those songs on Hallelujah 1 and 2 are the types of worship songs I was familiar with going to church in the late 80s and the 90s. Then by the 2000s, you get into a more modern worship thing, and then worship bands discover Coldplay, right? Worship, and then modern worship now is like this, it's kind of more about production and style over necessarily the form and the simple chords of the song. Like,
right.
We know what we mean by modern worship, right?
Give me
I would assume everyone listening knows what I'm talking about.
Give me a Lord, I lift your name on high,
right.
Or an open the eyes of my heart, Lord, any day of the week.
Yeah, like modern worship, from what I understand of it and what I've experienced of it, it is like these angelic sort of like trickery guitar work, kind of making you feel like you're at a really elevated, twinkly rock show, right? But then the worship that I'm thinking about, this 80s and 90s worship, is like campfire songs, or they can be adapted to a campfire thing, because they're very simple A, C, D chords. Like, they're really simple chord structures, but beautiful melodic vocal melodies in these songs with simple lower grade, like reading level lyrics, but so that everyone can understand them, but written in such a way that you're expressing these very beautiful spiritual ideas. I don't know, like, that's not what I think of with modern worship. So what I think of is, like, For the Moments I Feel Faint almost feels like in the waning days of classic 80s and 90s style open chord worship, Relient K wrote like a pinnacle song for that. But it's that style of worship was just about to be on its way out.
Which I guess is why it never got picked up as one of those kind of songs. Because I could really see this as getting picked up as like a song that your praise and worship band would play.
Yeah, but those types of praise and worship bands aren't the ones that play at the big popular churches anymore. Right. Now they're like I don't even know.
But I mean, still in 2002 you had that. Still in 2002 you had
And you probably did have a lot of churches playing this song back then. I do have a few videos of churches playing this song.
I feel like the WoW worship CDs my mom had in the car were like 1999 and 2000, and they had like Lord, I Lift Your Name on High and all those kind of songs that I'm a lot more familiar with. All the songs that were on like Hallelujah, like I totally knew.
I'm wondering if For the Moments I Feel Faint was on a WoW CD.
Oh, yeah.
It
didn't pop up in my deep dive. But it totally should have been.
I don't think it was. No, it wasn't. I'm using Discogs because it has a pretty good search feature when you type in song titles. Like, it won't work if your song title is like you're looking for the song Bad Company by the band Bad Company. That won't tell you when the song Bad Company is on every album. But For the Moments I Feel Faint is esoteric, is proprietary enough a title that it's giving me every release with that song.
Oh yeah, it's awesome God, shout to the Lord. I'm looking at Hallelujah 1 and 2. I'm like, yeah, I could sing of your love forever. These are my jams.
So the only songs that I see for the moments the only albums that I see for the moments I feel faint appearing on are all the various releases and re-releases of Anatomy, the Vitamin String Quartet album, which will come up later, a CD called Ultimate Love from 2007, released in Europe, a compilation promo of Christian Top Hits USA, released 2002. This looks like it was actually some sort of like CD that was maybe shoved into a magazine or something. And then another thing called Promo Only Contemporary Christian. So, yeah, it wasn't on a Wow Worship CD, but you'd think this could be on a Wow Worship album, except I really think from my very narrow view of worship music, I feel like 2002, this represents a type of worship that was stylistically on the way out.
Right.
But Thiessen here just wrote like one of the best sort of final versions of a song like that.
Now, do you remember hearing this song live back in the day?
I don't specifically remember it, but they did not play this song live a lot.
Oh, interesting.
They definitely have never played it. Well, I can't say definitely, because you never know. Because Setlist FM and YouTube, you never know. But the only things on Setlist that are listed as having been played was a handful of shows in 2003.
Okay.
There absolutely could have been more performances throughout 2001, 2002, 2003.
Which I'm surprised, because this is, we talk about the tour where they, brought out the mini campfire on stage and they started doing Surf Wax America. And I'm like, can you imagine if they had done that and how much more powerful it would have been if they had done that with For the Moments I Feel Faint, and you would have absolutely had every kid in the audience knowing the lyrics.
Well, I wonder about that though. So I definitely don't see any proof of them ever playing this from the 5-piece era or on. I only see.
Oh, sure, that's what I mean. I meant like early on. Like I feel like,
but that tour you're talking about was a 5-piece tour.
No, I'm aware, but I'm just saying, like, I could see this being a song that they would like play back in the day in like 2002 when you were going to like every 2003 when you were going to every Relient K show in New England.
Right. So I just found like a handful of performances listed on Setlist FM, which makes me think that I would assume that there are more performances than that, because in the early 2000s you cannot consider these sources to be like absolute. Not for a band like Relient K, who was still coming up and people weren't tracing their every step. I mean, when you go on Wikipedia and look at the history of Relient K tours, you would think Relient K never toured until 2004 because none of their like early tours are listed on Wikipedia. So you can't trust the internet as an absolute source for those early days. But it just does seem like a song that they played here and there a couple of times throughout 2003 and never really after that. But yeah, I mean, it would have been really cool for them to play this. What I'm thinking though is two things. You suggested that the Sherwood tour, the Sherwood May tour, is the one where they did the campfire thing. I think by the time of the Johns, they probably wouldn't have played a song this on the nose about their faith, because we know.
Right? No, I just meant it had that same vibe. This has that same vibe where, like, in the earlier days of Relient K, when this was a new song, this seems like that song where it'd be like, okay, let's all like take it down for a minute and do like a little praise and worship set kind of thing.
Right.
So I think could have been really like beautiful.
And that's the thing is, I saw Relient K a ton between 2000 and 2004. And they weren't a band that brought the set down in the middle for a worship set, like the Supertones did.
Right.
And the Supertones weren't the only band to do that. Fiverr and Frenzy did that, actually. I feel like that's pretty lost in the zeitgeist now, but Fiverr and Frenzy did take the Supertones playbook for a couple of tours and would kind of cool down the set with like 2 or 3 worship songs on acoustic in the middle of the set. They did that for a couple of years, But then they stopped doing that. The Supertones never really stopped doing that. They would do more than 2 or 3. The Supertones...
And they do a whole little, like, sermon.
Yeah. The Supertones would totally cool down. We talked about it with Ethan Luck. He said he didn't enjoy doing those when we had him. If you don't believe us, just go listen to He was like, we already got them there. This is literally preaching to the choir.
Yeah.
The Supertones would stop the set, do an extended worship set. Like, they would do, like, 5 or 6 songs, and then... I think it was Dan from Supertones would come out and give a lesson, give a sermon, or maybe Mojo did as well. But yeah, Relient K never did that. Relient K, as much as their early days with Brian and the band, they did speak about themselves being a mission and speak about, like, in the early days in those first 3 albums, this album included, this is just the second album, that they were being a Christian band. They were there to excel at the Christian market, but also to, like, get people saved who would see them who weren't saved. That was something that they said in interviews. They were kind of a mission. Then they dropped that whole mission thing by
Right. I feel like they probably always just wanted to be just a band, just like a rock band, and maybe they sort of had that edge to them early on to get that sort of audience.
Remember you said that, because this is going to come up when we talk about the demo.
Okay.
So what else do we have to say about this song? So the gold version and the non-gold version. I listened to them back to back to back a whole bunch of times, and in general, the original mix from 2001, it's warmer, it's more immediate, it feels more vital and fresh. The 2006, I always say 2005, but it was 2006 when they remixed these. Because it was after, And so I'm realizing this now because we have all 3 CDs that this song is on. We have, sitting on the table, we have our All Work and No Play Fan Club edition. We have our original 2001 mix of Anatomy. And then when I pulled out the gold one, it says 2006. So the gold mixes are from 2006. The gold version of Anatomy for this song, it makes sense. It's a little fuller. It's a little more glossy. I personally think it loses something, but at the same time, I did listen to them back to back to back, and by the end, I was kind of losing track of which one was which. I'm sure someone with a very attuned ear would be able to, like, listen to them both and, like, keep a track on which one's the best one. But to me, like, the non-gold mix, it's immediate, it's fresh, it feels like you're in the room with him, it feels like you're there at the campfire or in the sanctuary or in the back room offices where, you know, the shared youth group room, like the little clubhouse room for the youth, the coffee house, the Christian coffee house.
Right.
That came up on our Patreon episode recently. Jessica wasn't familiar with the concept of the youth group coffee house, but it feels more immediate with Matt Thiessen on the original mix. The gold mix, it definitely loses something, but it also gains a little something by making it a little richer, a little fuller. There are a lot of bells and whistles in this song production-wise, because you have all those strings. I love the way they utilize the bass, the decisions they make for when the bass comes in and when it drops and when it comes back, because those bass, you could easily just have the bass in the whole time, but they don't do that. The bass drops out, it comes back in, it drops back out, it comes back in, and it kind of like emphasizes things, and it kind of lifts you up and rests you down, and then lifts you up again, and then rests you down again. So I really like the production choices with both versions of the song, with both the gold and non-gold version of the song.
I pulled up the additional personnel for this album as a whole, so I'm not sure who played on this song.
I'll confirm if it's true from the CD.
Because we have 3 violin players listed here.
Right.
So, just listing all of the additional personnel, we have Bob Roy, fingerhead, on nylon guitar and slide guitar, Madalena Burl Marks on cello, Ann Smith on violin, Corey Smith on violin, Heather Walker on violin, Crystal Brzezowski on French horn, Scott Cannon gang vocals, Kyle Hudson gang vocals, and Kevin Peden gang vocals. Or Pedden.
So, I remember this came up when we talked about Failure 2, Life After Death and Taxes. Because there's strings on Failure to Excommunicate as well. And now there's strings on here. And it's probably all the same string players in all the cases. Now, is every string instrument on both of those tracks? Because what do you have? You have cello, viola, and 2 violins and a French horn.
Sorry, viola is Ann Smith, not violin. I apologize. I just skimmed it too quickly.
We are so sorry. Jessica does not speak for me. She speaks outside of the Sadie Hawkins Pod LLC.
Rude as the person who runs the Twitter account. Rude.
As the person who chases away new followers all the time.
Yeah.
I'm like, Jessica, you're out of line. So you have cello, viola, and 2 violins. Now, are all 4 of those instruments, 3 instruments between the 4 of them, are they all represented on Failure to Excommunicate and For the Moments I Feel Faint? Or are only some of those in one song and the rest of them and all of them are another song? I don't know. I don't have that finely tuned in ear. But it seems pretty... It would seem pretty obvious to me that assuming that all those string instruments are in both those songs, that it's the same players playing all of them in the same songs, right? They would have specified if only some of them were in some song and some of them were in another song. Does it make any sense?
Yeah.
Okay.
I gotcha.
So I forgot also that rare thing all the way back to our PTL episode when I was like, oh, I wish Matt Thiessen would sing more falsetto. And then over the years, I've been like, oh, here's a falsetto. Oh, here's a falsetto. Here's another falsetto. The song ends with him going real high. I will be strong. I will be strong.
Yep. Exactly.
The bridge, the I think I can't, but I think you can. That bridge, the chord progression there, feels very Foo Fighters to me. Very early Foo Fighters. First 3 albums, Foo Fighters.
Interesting.
Feels very much like that, Foo Fighters. So I wonder what that chord progression is. I don't know. And I wonder if it's if anyone can kind of tell from other songs that the Foo Fighters have a similar chord progression like that a lot. But whenever I hear that, it takes me kind of back to those first 3 Foo Fighter albums. There's Nothing Left to Lose. Is that the third one? The one with the tattoo on the neck, and then Color and the Shape, and then the self-titled. Anyway, do you have anything else to say about the song? We'll look at the lyrics in a second.
No, I'm ready to dive into those lyrics.
Now, before we get into the lyrics...
Okay.
The lyrics for C.U.R.B, the demo version of this song, which will make a whole section in and of itself.
Right.
They are wrong. Flat out 100% wrong on every lyric site.
Okay.
The lyrics of C.U.R.B,
makes sense,
the demo version, and the lyrics to this song are not the same lyrics. They share many of the same lines, but they are absolutely not the same lyrics. And it's clear to me that 25 years ago, someone was like, oh, C.U.R.B is just For the Moments I Feel Faint. Copy, paste, C.U.R.B. Wrong. It has always been wrong. It's been wrong forever, and I did not even find... Just listen to the song. Just listen to C.U.R.B on YouTube. They aren't the same lyrics. And as soon as I listened, I was like, these lyrics aren't right. So I wrote them down, and we have more to talk about those lyrics in a little bit. But I just want to get this out there, that if you go looking for the lyrics for C.U.R.B on Genius even on Genius, they are wrong. They are the lyrics for the Moments I Feel Faint. So
I forgot that Relient K is set to play 3 festivals, and so and no other shows. So when I logged into Genius and it says go see Relient K live, get tickets as low as $112, I was like, whoa, what? But of course, it's because they're playing a couple festivals.
I don't remember how much tickets were. Do you remember? They were like, what, $40, $50? I don't remember.
I don't remember. But they were not 112, I'll tell you that. Verse 1. Am I at the point of no improvement? What of the death I still dwell in? I try to excel, but I feel no movement. Can I be free of this unreleasable sin?
So the song is mentioning sin and this feeling of being dragged down by your the worst side of you, right? But I think it's a very harsh contrast. I think this is a much better version of that. It's a much more stark contrast to sort of the obsession of sin and the obsession of failure that is prevalent in a lot of other Christian punk, and it is also prevalent in a lot of other Relient K songs. Like, there are so many other songs where the singer, often teenage pop punk Christian singer, is obsessed with their failures, obsessed, and really, when in some ways that boils down to a self-obsession, right? To be like, I'm so sinful, I'm so sinful, I'm so sinful. God, you're an idiot for loving me. What is wrong with you? Like, even though they don't mean it that way, that's how it comes off. So here he's singing about looking to be released from this unreleasable sin. That's a pretty harsh lyric in and of itself, but presented in this song, does not come off that harsh to me. I'm not approaching this song with that cynicism. I think that that's a very universal concept, to feel like there is something within yourself that is pulling you back. Because right off the bat, he's saying, like, I've reached a point of no improvement. Am I at the point of no improvement? Am I at the point of no improvement? That is a universal concept. That is a concept that is outside of the Christian faith. To feel like you have reached a ceiling within yourself, self-improvement wise. If it's something that you're pursuing. It might not be something that you actively pursue, but you might feel stymied. You might feel stuck in something. And you feel like, is this where I'm destined to be? Just stuck in this spot? And in this context, based off of his faith background, he voices that self-doubt, that like fear as a sin. So he's stuck in this unreleasable sin. I think that this is a perfectly reasonable and, level way to approach these things in this concept of sin. There are so many other Christian songs, Christian punk songs, Christian rock songs that sing about sin, and I'm like, it's okay, dude. Just stop. Just stop. You're doing your best. Right. You're already doing... And I guess that's the big difference here. Is sometimes it's like people who are like, I can't do it. I'm so stupid and useless. But he's not saying that here.
Thiessen sings about his failures all the time.
Right.
But it tends to be more of like a bad friend Thiessen.
Right. But here he's like, I want to be better. I'm looking to be better. And where is it? Where's the answer? He's not beating himself up in this song just because he's stuck in a feeling that he's voicing as sin.
Chorus. Never underestimate my Jesus. You're telling me that there's no hope. I'm telling you you're wrong. Never underestimate my Jesus. When the world around you crumbles, he will be strong. He will be strong.
And there's another line that in many other Christian songs would come off as heavy-handed, but does not here. I'm like totally not feeling cynical about this song. To actually have a Christian song that says, I'm telling you you're wrong. Like in so many other contexts, you'd be like, oh, you're telling me I'm wrong, huh? But in this context, he's really telling someone like, you're telling me there's no hope? Well, I'm telling you you're wrong. There is hope. In this and then, in the fuller context of the song, he's saying the hope is that the Lord Jesus Christ is there for us. But really the line that he's addressing is, you're telling me there's no hope. I'm telling you you're wrong. There is hope. And then in parentheses, if you want to present it that way, you can say, here's my hope. It's Christ. But off the bat, he's addressing the person that's telling him there's no hope. And he's saying, no, there is hope. He's not saying you're wrong for not believing in Jesus. That's not how these lyrics are presented. And he's saying you're wrong to think that there's no hope or there's no way out. And that is absolutely true no matter what your faith background is. There is always hope. And he's not saying, like, you're wrong for not believing in Christ. He's saying, now that I'm explaining to you that there is hope, here's my hope. Maybe this will be the same. Maybe you can see this as the same hope for you.
That's right. Verse 2. I throw up my hands, oh, the impossibilities, frustrated and tired, where do I go from here? Now I'm searching for the confidence I've lost so willingly. Overcoming these obstacles is overcoming my fears.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's just yeah, the same again. It's very well said. It's very just sort of put out there. And then we go back to the chorus again. Never underestimate my Jesus. You're telling me there's no hope. I'm telling you you're wrong. Never underestimate my Jesus. When the world around you crumbles, he will be strong. He will be strong. Bridge. I think I can't. I think I can't. But I think you can. I think you can. I think I can't. I think I can't. But I think you can. I think you can. Gather my insufficiencies and place them in your hands. Place them in your hands. Place them in your hands. And like I said before, this is just like a very simple praise and worship song that's really beautiful about how in Christ you can do anything.
Mm-hmm. But I really do like and I think that's, it's so on the it's so simple. It's so on the mark. It's like he is not really saying, I don't hear him saying in these lyrics, but he is. It's just, it's treading this fine line. He's on this tightrope, but very artfully. Not tightrope in a like, oh, I'm not quite, but like artfully just on the tightrope, totally walking across it, juggling at the same time. He's written this very finely crafted worship song where it is answering questions. It is answering like you feel stuck in life, you feel lost, and you have a way out. Period. At the same time, he's singing it, it's speaking to universal truths. It's speaking to your fear, and it's not blaming your fear fully on you, and it's not saying you have no chance whatsoever. He's just presenting the problem, and then saying, and here's the answer I found. And he's saying, never underestimate my Jesus. I don't know. It's just really interesting to me that, unlike some other songs that are a little bit more heavy-handed, even within Relient K's oeuvre, that this one wears its heart on its sleeve. The chorus is, never underestimate my Jesus. There's no mistaking what this song's about. But when you really look at it, it's so much more gentle in its presentation. I would never, cynic me, I would never usually see a song where the chorus is Jesus, 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 thinking this is going to be a very level, gentle song in its, witnessing to the listener. But I find it to be very gentle in the idea of, I have a problem, you have this problem, here's the answer I have. Like, could this be your answer too? But without hiding it. Not hiding it under a bushel. No.
Exactly.
I think that's a very difficult song to write. Because so many other praise and worship songs are about, like, we're already Christian, we're all going to be Christian together. You know what I mean? Like, we're here to praise and worship. We're here to praise you, God. So not many other praise and worship songs have an in for the outside crowd, for the crowd outside of the Christian faith. I feel like this has a door open to people who don't necessarily have this faith. They hear a guy just struggling with his problems and saying, I found the answer in Christ.
I mean, I think that's all of Relient K's music.
Yeah, but here it's just presented in the form of a real praise and worship song, which isn't true of a lot of Relient K music. Like, we've talked about songs like God, and we talked about Those Words Are Not Enough, and how those are Relient K songs presented in the form of a worship song, but they're not really traditional worship songs in the way that a lot of other Christian artists will write traditional worship songs. They are very much just Relient K songs that have this DNA of worship and praise and prayer. But this is the closest thing I feel to, like, a hymnal, a very, very traditional hymnal that Relient K wrote. And yet it is somehow speaking very well to this line of not, like, having Jesus in the chorus 5 times, but also not, like, cramming the answer down your throat.
Yeah, no, I absolutely agree. And then it just ends with the chorus again.
Did I have any other notes? I'm asking you, did I have any other notes?
I don't know. I didn't look at your
What other notes do I have, Jessica? So on Setlist FM, there's Cornerstone 2003, which is the only performance that I have for later. There's some unknown venue in Bakersfield in 2003. There's the Calvin
Sounds haunted. I love it.
Yeah. the Calvin and Janet Fine Arts Center in Lancaster, PA, Youth Front Auditorium in Shawnee, Kansas, and the Glass House, Pomona. Those are the only known performers. Oh, and Oregon State Fair, the Oregon State Fairgrounds in Salem, Oregon. Those are the only known performances of this song. So we'll get into C.U.R.B. Before we go to our break, let's get into C.U.R.B. for a second.
Sure.
This song, shockingly, when we get into it, this song feels so mature. For the Moments I Feel Faint, it feels mature. It feels classic. It feels universal. It feels like when they wrote this song, they wrote a song that is kind of outside of just themselves. Like this a lot of other Relient K praise and worship songs feel like Relient K songs. If you gave this song to someone else, I wouldn't necessarily know this is a Relient K song, right? I wouldn't know this is a Relient K song.
Right.
This doesn't just feel like a Relient K song.
So what you're telling me is that they completely turned it around from whatever it was, which was C.U.R.B.
Yes, they did. Yes, they did. So with C.U.R.B., we're going to play the entire song here on the podcast in just a second, because we've done that before with the demo songs, and I feel like it's worth it because I don't know how many of you have actually gone out onto YouTube or broken out your copy of All Work and No Play.
If Goatee comes banging down on our door, we'll just try and have a nice sit down talk with them.
I think every time I've added an All Work and No Play demo in full to a podcast, it doesn't get flagged for copyright. Like, it flat out just isn't even registered in the YouTube algorithm.
They're like, oh, they're just listening to another weird cover song that we don't understand.
Yeah, maybe it'll get tagged for similar melody to For the Moments I Feel Faint. Like, when you play a cover, there are algorithms that know how to identify that melody and then, tag it, you discovered a Taylor Swift song. You're auto-tagged by copyright. Well, C.U.R.B., like all the other songs, is exactly the same fast, skate punk, juvenile sound that we know from Kojak and B-Rad and the early versions of My Girlfriend and I Am Lion-O. It's exactly the same skate punk sound that you've come to know. It's the same chorus, more or less, with some lyrical changes that they changed. But then there's a bridge that takes the song into a total left turn. Not a total left turn. Let's just get into it.
Okay. I'm excited.
I probably shouldn't say much more.
Okay.
But the song isn't really a praise and worship song when you get down to what is here on the original song.
Okay.
Here is the song C.U.R.B, C.U.R.B, and we'll get into what that acronym apparently means. But here is the demo version that became For the Moments I Feel Faint.
Christ, be righteous? Wait.
You're close. The C does stand for Christ, but you will never get the other the other three letters. I like that right at the end there, right before they do the ring, they hit a sour note on the bass.
So way more heavy-handed.
So you couldn't tell what... So the structure of the song is totally different.
Yeah.
We'll go into some of the lyrical changes, but I want to focus on one specific lyrical change. And that is that there is, the structure is totally different, but what I guess you would call the bridge is sung by Thiessen. The rest of the song is sung by Hoops. The bridge is atrocious. Cynical Danny is back in the door.
Sex Pistols Thiessen over here.
But you couldn't tell what he was singing. I wonder how many of you could tell what he was singing right off the bat if you heard that song for the first time. It
was really because I had been concentrating really hard, and then my ADHD kicked in and I zoned out. And then you were like, did you hear what he said there? And I was like, I was just not paying attention.
So
this is one of the longer songs, I think, on the demo, too.
That was 3 minutes long.
Yeah.
I should have warned you all that was 3 minutes.
I was like, wow, that's a really long song.
So here is the chorus. Let me pull up. I had to write these lyrics down as I could suss them out. Shoot, I don't think I wrote this part in my phone.
Oh, no.
Somewhere back at... Oh, no, here it is. Okay. Yeah, I was thinking back.
Lyrics
I was thinking back at
work.
work on my desk. Someone's like, "Oh, Danny's writing Christian poetry when he
during work hours."
During work hours, that I did not leave that on my desk at work. It's here on my phone. So here's the chorus, the bridge. So I think he's saying there's different music, all kinds, different sorts. And I can always... I can't tell what he's saying there. And then just the next part. All my favorite bands are Christian through and through. This is so antithetical to what Relient K themselves would become.
Right.
Like just wearing, their influences on their sleeves and not necessarily being other Christian bands, like saying, we're influenced by Weezer and the Beach Boys, and we're influenced by other Christian bands. Like,
British Thiessen.
We're influenced by other Christian bands like Five Iron Frenzy and MXPX. Like Hoops recently tweeted, no Five Iron Frenzy, no Relient K, right? Like they're obviously influenced by Christian bands and non-Christian bands, and the fact that they would go on to just like play Warped Tour and play with all kinds of different artists, like this is really sad, but it's funny because we use the phrase mission statement for a lot of like really important songs that are really just more like keystone songs or like flagship songs. Like we just said it recently with In Love with the 80s. Like that's a flagship song to us, right? But I said mission statement. It's not a mission statement. It's just a song you could be like, Relient K is a fun band. Here's In Love with the 80s. This is a flagship song that you will enjoy of theirs. This is literally a mission statement song where they are like saying to any of the Christian record labels that might be interested in them, because remember, when they recorded this, Goatee was not like on the radar. Like on this record in the K.Car song, they specifically name drop the president of Tooth and Nail Records.
Right.
I really do believe as we've listened to more, we've gotten most of the way through All Work and No Play, then on All Work and No Play, I think Relient K didn't have their identity yet as a band. And I think they basically, Thiessen's ability as a melody writer was absolutely solid, and his ability as a lyricist was almost there, since a couple of these songs end up on the next two albums. They're all not, their identity as artists, I think, is still bogged down by the scene and this idea that they are like, we want to be a Christian band on a Christian label, and we are going to write Christian songs. I think that's no more apparent than when you listen to the demo and then you see their immediate growth into real artists with the first, second, and third and fourth album. But here, way more than just saying Brandon Ebel gave us a call on K-Car, the bridge to this song is, all my favorite bands are Christian. So you, Mr. President of the Christian record label, you should sign us, because I swear we're Christian. And it's just not what I think of when I think of Relient K. I think of Relient K as a place that unites between this like self segregated section of Christian music that can unite into the real world of music. Relient K is a mainstream rock band to me. They're a Christian band. They are open about their faith, but they are a mainstream rock band. They were on the radio. They were on MTV. They were on Jimmy Kimmel. They were on Warped Tour. They busted their asses trying to make a name for themselves in the music world. They didn't just play youth groups anymore, but they also never forgot, the fans who cared about them the most, so they always still played Christian festivals and stuff. Jay Leno. They played Jay Leno like 3 or 4 times. They're a mainstream rock group. It still floors me on Twitter when people are like, I can't believe non-Christians have heard of Relient K. It's like, I can't believe you haven't noticed how hard Relient K worked for everybody to notice them. So it's like, just to hear that this was actually originally a literal mission statement to be like, "Oi, I only like the Christian bands." It's really sad to me. But it's hilarious.
Yeah.
So the structure of this song is totally different from For the Moments I Feel Faint. And I can really feel way more than The Thief. Way more than The Thief and There Was No Thief. Where you have like, a short little song that then gets fleshed out with an extra little thing. Like we have that theory now. I think someone shared it with us. But that theory that There Was No Thief is literally like a continuation of The Thief, not just a fleshed out song. This is a fleshed out song. This is like, we have this song that has a pretty good melody, a pretty good chorus, has an abysmal bridge. Maybe he was just playing it slow on guitar, and he's like, oh, why did we play this like a fast skate punk song? This actually kind of works in and of itself as a praise and worship song, just playing it in the van on tour sometime. And then he just continues and fleshes it out and writes whole new sections to the song and makes it a flat out worship song. I also think it's sad in C.U.R.B that the final song, For the Moments I Feel Faint, is a very selfless, very looking to the Lord song about salvation and greater, bigger things. But to pull it down into the original demo and be like, this song's about being a band and being a band for Jesus, it makes it more about them. It kind of makes it more about them. I'm glad that they waited
and reworked it when they were more mature.
Yeah, absolutely. So the actual lyrics, am I at the point of no improvement? Same lyric. What of death I still dwell in? Is that in the lyric? Can you pull up the lyrics for the final version of the song?
What of the death I still dwell in?
So they didn't change that. I try to excel, but I feel no movement. Can I be free of this unreleasable sin? So that's pretty much the same. But then the chorus is different. It's never underestimate my Jesus. His name has the strength to set us free. That's not the original lyric. Never underestimate my Jesus.
You mean that is the original lyric? That's not what we hear in...
Yeah. Sorry. I'm saying original, meaning the version that we all know.
Right.
The original lyric is, his name has the strength to set us free. They changed that to, you're telling me that there's no help, I'm telling you you're wrong. Hope. Way more mature. What did I say? Hop?
You said help.
Hope. Way more mature, beautiful, lovely lyric to say, you're telling me there's no hope, I'm telling you you're wrong. That's such a much more uplifting and wonderful lyric. To say his name has the strength to set us free, yeah, it's true, but it's almost trite to say. Like, yeah, we get it. But to actually say, you're telling me there's no help, I'm telling you you're wrong, that's such a more... I am saying hope, but it just doesn't sound like I'm saying hope.
Okay.
Never underestimate Jesus. He died and shed his blood to save you and me. That was changed to, when the world around you crumbles, he will be strong, he will be strong. They really glowed up the lyrics. Because honestly, more, thinking about that whole thing of oi, we're a Christian band and we sing Christian lyrics. I think lyrics like, his name has the strength to set us free, he died and shed his blood for you and me, all absolutely true within the faith, but incredibly trite and really simple, and literally anyone could write those lyrics. Literally anyone could write those lyrics. But I don't think anyone could write the lyrics, "You're telling me there's no hope, I'm telling you you're wrong. When the world around you crumbles, he will be strong, he will be strong." That's like real poetry. These original lyrics, honestly, they're like first grade, like my first Bible. Sorry, I'm being a little rough. And I love Be Rad, and I love Kojak, and I love the demo versions of K-Car and Girlfriend and I Am Lion-O, but I'm just not impressed with where they took this song. I'm fascinated. No, I'm super impressed with where they took the song. I'm not super impressed with the song that they... This is probably the lesser of all the songs to me. You read that, what was that list of like whoever put every Relient K song in order, and they put Be Rad way at the bottom?
Right.
This song, Be Rad, is way above C.U.R.B to me.
Right.
So what does C.U.R.B stand for? That's also a question. And it just kind of shows you this odd immaturity of Relient K on this particular song. Apparently it stands for something along the lines of... Let me get this right. So I actually asked a couple hours ago on Twitter. I'm like, last second emergency podcast research. Who knows what C.U.R.B stands for? Funkle Andy, who is at Bean_Flores, Flores Phlores, wrote Christian Underground Roller Derby Brigade. Not a joke answer. Don't ask me how I know this.
Oh, wow.
But then I said, I won't ask you, but I do want to ask you. And it said, and Funkle Andy said, it's not that I wouldn't tell you, it's that I don't remember. I think it was a Reddit interview with Hoops, or maybe it was on the Bad Christian podcast. Well, then I also went to the Discord, the Relient K Discord, to ask some questions, to see if anyone had any idea there. And they found this Reddit interview with Matt Hoops. Let me open this up. This is more of the Jessica territory to be opening a Relient K Reddit thing.
I did not do a C.U.R.B deep dive, which
okay.
I'm realizing now I should have done and maybe should do right now.
That's okay, because I've got this thing right here. So, 7 years ago, Firminus on Relient K wrote, so Matt Hoops agreed to let me interview him for my college speech on my culture. To let me interview him for a college speech on my culture. What should I ask him? And then he published, and then Funkle was the first person. Firminus replied and updated with the final interview. And there's a lot of important questions on here that we probably should read through. But he asked, and for the people on Reddit and fans of RK who are who wonder about everything, what does C.U.R.B from All Work and No Play stand for? I've been dying to know for a while. Matt Hoops said 7 years ago, haha, that's a great question. It stands for Christian Underground Roller Brigade. It was a funny little club that our friend Joe started in high school. We just thought it sounded funny and made it the theme for the song, which eventually became For the Moments I Feel Faint. So it's like they had a fun little Christian roller brigade.
Right.
And they just decided to make the title a joke, which is cool. That's funny. I like that. It's just in the contrast of how this became one of their most mature, beautiful, simple worship songs, and to see like this strange, immature roots of the song, in that the title was a joke, the bridge was this very ultimately meaningless thing about how like you should only listen to Christian music and music outside of Christ is I can't get down with it or whatever. It's like so antithetical to everything I think about Relient K. It's just so funny and odd. What a weird way for one of their most beautiful songs to have... It's like a flower from a pot of dirt. That's a terrible thing to say. That's what Lisa's fiance says in the future.
So I'm not getting much with the C.U.R.B deep dive, other than the fact that there's more song meanings. But I love that, you know how at the bottom of Google it's like a suggested search? British band songs. popped up. You want me to search for British
And then
bands?
Radiohead's just there in a GIF.
Oh,
GIF.
it had been Queen. It just switched over. Yeah, top 10 greatest British rock bands. I don't think Relient K is on there, but you never know.
Oh, and the last thing I definitely want to mention from the Discord was I was like, okay, what is this lyric? What the hell is British Teeson saying right here? What is he saying?
I think the last word was maybe improve, but I'm not 100% on that.
So I'm almost positive at the beginning he's saying there's different music, all kinds, different sorts, and I can always blah, blah, blah. I can't tell what he's saying there. I'm pretty sure it's there's different music, all kinds, different sorts, and I can always... All my favorite bands are Christian through and through.
This is so weird. Rhyme zone. Use schneck in a sentence. Why is this... Why did this come up? Search for C.U.R.B. Relient K.
Take a screen cap of that. So I posted just this one clip of C.U.R.B. to the Discord, and I was like, hi, everyone who sees this. Last second before recording podcast emergency, what do you think Teeson is singing here on the bridge for C.U.R.B., which is not used in The Moments I Feel Faint? Theography said, holy fuck, that mix is bad. I literally can't make out a single word. Legonator said, it's actually an Easter egg for Empty House. Jess said, OMG, I tried, but I can't make anything out. I even put on my Surface headphones and tried different equalizer settings so I could hear the vocals more over the drums. Then Bjorn came in the closest and said, there's different music kinds, different songs, which is close to what I heard, that I can't always tell my truth. Or maybe he's saying that I can't always tell my groove. Pretty close. I mean, that definitely hits on the theme of the song, because they made this song C.U.R.B. be about us as a band. They made it about themselves, whereas the later song is about worship in Christ and it's about Christ himself. They made this song about music and how you should only stick around to Christian music. So I'm like, that's pretty close. I wrote, this helps. I can make out the first part, but not the second. He's for sure singing about being a Christian band. And Alexander said, yeah, I think Bjorn is right. Then Bjorn said the last part, Bjorn confirmed and said, the last part sounds like can't always get down my groove. Maybe that's it. Well, I've got to go on Genius and update the lyrics for C.U.R.B. because the lyrics for C.U.R.B. are not correct. They are just a cut and paste of For the Moments I Feel Faint. And that makes me sick because The Moments I Feel Faint is a beautiful song and the lyrics to C.U.R.B. are a very immature song. So how dare they claim the beauty of For the Moments I Feel Faint in the history of the song C.U.R.B., which C.U.R.B. is fun.
Now, did you check song meanings? Because there are lyrics there written as one ginormous paragraph.
Oh, and there's one other thing, is we have the fan club edition of All Work and No Play that I got from the Fan and Air Conditioner Club, was what Relient K called it, back in 2002-ish. And this was a reprint. It only has a one-piece cover. Mm-hmm. It's not a gatefold cover that you can't open it and unfold it. Well, the original version that was pressed locally and sold locally, and probably was the tapes that Mark Lee Townsend played for Toby Mac,
right,
had an actual lyric booklet in it.
Interesting.
You can go on Discogs and find the original pressing of All Work and No Play and find a very bad scan of the lyric booklet to All Work and No Play. This song isn't in that lyric booklet.
Wow, outstanding.
And because the scan is so bad and the lyrics are all mushed in, you can read them, it's just very hard. I was spending time going through every line. It's one giant block of text for all the songs, and the song it's a one giant endless paragraph, and the song titles are in bold. And I'm like, where's the song title for C.U.R.B? Where's C.U.R.B? Where's C.U.R.B? I'm going through every line around where it should be, and then when I didn't find it, I'm like, maybe it's out of order. Where is it? Where is it? It's not there.
All right, so according to song meanings, the lyrics to C.U.R.B are, I am at the point of no improvement. What of the death I still dwell in? I try to excel, but I feel no movement. Can I be free of this unreleasable sin? Never underestimate my Jesus. His name has the strength to set us free. Oh, we, oh, we, oh. Never underestimate my Jesus.
Oh, we, oh, we, oh.
He died and he shed his blood to save you and me. There's different music, all kinds, different sorts, and I can't always find my groove. My favorite bands my favorite bands, they are Christian through and through. I don't know if I'll be like any of these, but I know one thing's for sure. We can do all things through Christ who strengthens me. Never underestimate my Jesus. His name has the strength to set us free. O-E-O-E-O. Never underestimate my Jesus. He died and he shed his blood to save you and me. Never underestimate my Jesus. His name has the strength to set us free. Never underestimate my Jesus. He died and shed his blood to save you and me.
Okay. Well, I didn't have to work that hard, and I didn't need to get Bjorn on the case if they were there on song meanings the whole time. But I'm definitely going to go to Genius and try to update these lyrics.
Sounds good. So with that, let's go ahead and take our break. Thank you so much for listening to Sadie Hawkins Pod. New episodes are released every other week, but you don't have to wait that long to hear more from us. You can join patreon.com/Sadie Hawkins Pod to listen to our bonus episodes every alternate week.
When you sign up, you'll get access to years of backlog episodes, including our discussions of the songs from Relient K is for Karaoke, every chapter of the book, The Complex Infrastructure, known as The Female Mind, as well as other projects and features from members of Relient K. You'll also have access to live streams of us watching fan content on YouTube and many other topics.
When you sign up, you'll receive a welcome letter with guitar picks and stickers, and by making a lifetime contribution of $60, you'll be eligible to earn a special Patreon-exclusive shirt. You'll also get thanked on every episode, like our current patrons, who include Charity, Samantha H. number 1, Samantha H. number 2, Matthew, Bjorn, Emily, Isaac, Kindle, Joshua, Daniel, Jay, Michael, Jimmy Eat Pod, This Might Be a Podcast, Tucker, and Brady.
Even if you don't want to sign up for the Patreon, you can still join the conversation by contacting us with your thoughts on this episode, your corrections, and your Relient K memories at our voicemail line, 402-95-SADIE, or by sending an email to sadiehawkinspod@gmail.com.
You can also visit our socials, Instagram, Twitter, and TikTok, which are all at Sadie Hawkins Pod, where you can see the visuals we discuss on the podcast each week. And on Facebook, search for Sadie Hawkins Group to discuss our show and Relient K.
There aren't a lot of guarantees in life, but I can guarantee one thing. It's very hard to think of what to say at the end of these ad reads.
True. All right, so which song meanings do you want first? C.U.R.B or For the Moments I Feel Faint?
Let's do the same order we did the podcast. We'll do For the Moments I Feel Faint first.
From Skater for Jesus on May 3rd, 2002. They said that was almost 20 years ago. It was a little over 20 years ago, almost exactly. This is the awesomest song. It's helped me so much through my hard times. When I feel so confused and life is holding me down, never underestimate my Jesus. I can't get through things on my own, but he can help me. He takes all of my insufficiencies and puts them on him. Sometimes I forget about this and try to do everything on my own, but I quickly realize that there's no life without God. Keep pumping the jams, Relient K. This is Just a Dream on June 8th, 2002 said, this song relates to me so well. When I heard it, I knew this song was great, especially the first part. I throw up my hands. Oh, the impossibilities. Frustrated and tired. Where do I go from here? I think everyone feels this at some point, but then we all turn to God, and this song just proves that when we rely on God, we can do anything. Keep on going, Relient K.
Yeah, I was just thinking, like, that's Skater for Christ, who is the first person. You never hear of skaters for atheism.
Weezer Girl on June 10th, 2002 said, wow, this is such a great song.
Are there skaters for other world religions as well? Are there, like,
I don't know.
Skaters for Buddha? Skaters for Allah?
They played it at my youth group one night, and I loved it. It's the song that got me into Relient K. The lyrics are really uplifting, and the song has helped me through some hard times. When the world around you crumbles, he will be strong, he will be strong. So far, no one giving any actual song meanings.
They're just kind of repeating, the lyrics.
No, I will not go to Softer for Me for a great song discussion.
Oh, that person who keeps going around to all the other songs and saying, like, hey, everybody, go to Softer to Me. Big things are happening at Softer to Me.
Six Strings on June 22nd, 2002 said, I've always thought...
Dan Bacchitis Pod, you should tweet go to the Softer to Me song meetings for a great discussion.
I've always thought that hope is never lost. It just settles in waiting for us to light it up again, for it to burn. Put all your burdens in Jesus and he will gladly carry them for you, smiley face.
Do you think God could put a burden in me that's so heavy that he himself can't lift it? He should be able to do that, because he can do anything. But if he can do that, then he can't lift my burden, and he can't do anything. Unless you think four-dimensionally.
Huh, interesting.
Uh-oh.
Dying in New Brunswick on March 17th, 2003 said, I never had heard the acoustic version until just now, and I read the lyrics along with it. It's made me seriously cry. I love Jesus so much. Sometimes it's so strong that I can't help but cry because I know his power and I don't deserve his love. But this is the first time you heard the non?
So they only ever heard C.U.R.B?
Yeah, you only ever heard C.U.R.B as of 2003? Oh my goodness.
My parents raised me to only support local music, so I only owned a copy of All Work and No Play. April, you were doing so good. Over an hour and you weren't begging for treats just because we're recording.
Huh?
I didn't say the T-R-A-A-T word. I don't even know if I spelled that correctly. I said it so quickly. T-R-E-A-T. T-R-E-A-T. I said it correctly. No.
Well,
no
I don't see the original posters post, but Swim Andy 013 on August 15, 2005 said, I know it's like 2 years late, but Teardrops Wasted, the song you're wondering about is Snake Charmer. It's off their really old record. I forgot the name of it, but I have all the songs on it. Everything's a bit scratchy and harsh sounding, but it's still good. So we'll see if we can find Teardrops Wasted's original post. Oh, here we go. Teardrops Wasted on April 19th, 2003 said, can someone please help me out with a song? My friend Tina made me a Relient K mix CD with some of their new, old, and really old stuff like Kojak, my all-time favorite Relient K song, and Be Rad, but of course she totally forgot to add a track list to the CD. There's 24 tracks on the CD. I got 21 of them, and I got 2 more because of this site, thank you. But now there's one more song that I just can't find. I know it has to be off one of their independent CDs.
if that. It was like recorded in the back of a hall or something.
The song, or some of the song, goes like this. Look into her eyes and I was hypnotized, and I don't think that's a big surprise. I made up my mind I would have to try to let this temptation pass me by.
Well.
It talks about a snake charmer and how the girl he wants, the temptation has got him. Here's a little more of the song. Temptation struck again and I almost cave in, but I pray to turn my back on sin. God help me out because that's what he's about. Always there when my mind's filled with doubt. Please help me. Thank you, Brent.
Well, Brent, you can go to the Sadie Hawkins Pod YouTube page where I uploaded a much better sounding quality version of Snake Charmer as ripped from the fan Relient K Discord where Jessica uploaded a copy.
And finally, to close this out, finally we have one that addresses what the song means. Penny to My Name on September 15th, 2010 said, I just really love the title of this song. It shows that this song was written for him to remind himself in the moments he feels faint.
Yeah.
Thank you for that.
For sure.
Penny to My Name.
For sure.
And then C.U.R.B. Go to the Softer to Me lyric page for a great discussion.
8675309. For a good time, call up the South of Me. What's it called? Softer to Me.
Oh, you are incorrect. SS
Oh, it was
Goku.
Crease. Excuse me. It was Crease who found the better quality version of Snake Charmer that I uploaded to our YouTube channel.
SS Goku 82K on March 19, 2003 said, I just wanted to let you people know that the song is actually called For the Moments I Feel Faint and not C.U.R.B. Incorrect,
Fake
SS
fan.
Goku 82K.
Fake fan.
Then you should know that those lyrics are not correct.
Those words are not correct. Those words are not correct. That's a different song. Oh, C.U.R.B, how I adore you. Those words are not correct.
That's what the next person has to say. Stacey Loves DMB on July 3rd, 2003 said, does anyone out there know what C.U.R.B stands for? I am beginning to like the lyrics to this song better than For the Moments I Feel Faint.
Okay. Takes all kinds.
Just a lot of people talking about All Work, No Play. A lot of people looking for this album. Music_fanatic92 on December 27th, 2007 said, OM goodness, I think it's good and bad that they have changed so much. Look at how much more blatant this is than For the Moments I Feel Faint. But really look at them now. They're huge. And maybe that's what it took, you know, tone it down to get the people to listen to you and then rope them in. Or just the fact that the demo was not meant for, like, wide release listening and is not the best. Then we have Spot-alike. So they think that similar to For the Moments I Feel Faint by Relient K is Jesus Freak by DC Talk. The Unwinding Cable Car by Anne Berlin. You Are More, 10 North Avenue. I can't speak for any of these songs except Jesus Freak, and I mean, other than the message, I don't hear any similarities. Difference Maker by Need to Breathe. Did I say You Are More by 10th Avenue North?
Doesn't sound familiar, but you might have.
Stronger Together by Cutlass. Wasteland by Need to Breathe. Flood by Jars of Clay. Which one's Flood, Danny?
That's the one where he's like, it's a flood, it's the flood, it's the flood.
No, is that the one from Meg Ryan being a dingus? Or no, is that a different one?
That's the Goo Goo Dolls.
Oh, whatever, same band.
That's no Jars of Clay and Goo Goo Dolls.
I get those two confused all the time.
I feel like we had this discussion maybe on the podcast, but maybe in real life. If I can't swim
Same
after
band.
40 days and the mind is crushed by the crashing waves. The song where he's singing about Noah.
Oh.
We had
vaguely.
to, and I played the song
yeah.
for you.
Sure. Courageous by Casting Crowns. Liquid by Jars of Clay. 24 by Switchfoot. No One Like You by the Dave Crowder Band. Mercy Me, In the Blink of an Eye. Say the Words Now, DC Talk.
I feel like this list is probably might be endless.
They are endless, so I'll click on out of that. And then, so when I typed in Relient K, Never Underestimate My Jesus into Google for my deep dive, what I predominantly got were tab sites that had mislabeled the song,
Right.
as well as an article from Medium that references this song. This is by Brandon Dorman from February 17th, 2022. And it's a 4-minute read. The Christian subculture I grew up in has often taken a bad rap for insulating kids, making it us versus them, and some really bad music. But there were some bright spots, like the band
I would say all of
Relient
that's
K.
true except for the bad music parts.
Although initially it seems like they were marketed as a safe alternative to Blink-182, in my mind they established themselves early on, not only with fun pop-punk music, but some more interesting tracks as well. Even if now I realize they probably had to due to demands from the Christian record labels. But these 5 songs are representative of how music is associated, not with the chords and the lyrics, but inextricably linked to moments, and thought frames in life. It's not just that I remember hearing and singing to Balloon Ride in my car. It's that I was a senior in high school, still new at driving around town on my own, and excited for the college experience ahead. Balloon Ride. Not even the best song off of their self-titled major label debut, but I loved the opening lines. There were times in my life when I was confused. There were things between me and God that were blocking my view. And then goes on a metaphorical journey of a hot air balloon ride to see the big picture. But I liked this song because often in high school I felt like I was only seeing the daily challenges of homework, social pressure, etc., yet longed for joy. Specifically, I remember singing this in the car after getting fired from my first tutoring job after a few months. $15 an hour. Yeah, that's pretty good, especially for back then. It's great for back then. For the moments I feel faint, I guess I thought about the fallacy of human beings and struggled with that more than most people. But these opening lines as well always hit me and encouraged me. Am I at the point of no improvement? What of the death I still dwell in? I try to excel, but I feel no movement. Can I be free of this unreleasable sin? Never underestimate my Jesus. I think it was encouraging to know that in the midst of doubting faith, etc., that Jesus was big enough for the doubts as well as the faith. This song in particular, I would play on repeat at the Sugar Pine Christian Camp in 2003 because I only brought Relient K, Delirious, and Third Day CDs. I'd like to play on the portable CD player I had for some reason. Honorable mentions from the album, 2 Lefts Don't Make a Right, but 3 do, for that summer, including Getting Into You and Am I Understood. And then they just go on to talk about More Than Useless, Sahara, and I Celebrate the Day. I saw Relient K in my youth, probably 4 to 5 times between 2000 and 2007, most notably on a tour 2 days in a row with Five Iron Frenzy in 2001. I saw them in 2016 with Switchfoot after almost 10 years after seeing them, and the first time since I'd even been married or had kids, and it was so much fun. I just had to do it again when they announced the first tour since then. So I'm flying double mass to Chicago this weekend to hang out with one of my best friends, as well as see the show. As an added bonus, the show is at the House of Blues, where Switchfoot recorded a live show in 2016 from that same tour. It will be my first time in the Midwest since January 2020 when I worked for ACT. Okay.
All right.
What do you have for us, Dan?
Oh, well, there's only one performance of the song available that I was able to find, and that was Cornerstone 2003. The same Cornerstone where I believe Katy Perry fell down and broke her neck and died and was then replaced by a duplicate.
What?
I think that's what everyone says about Cornerstone 2003. If it's not what they say, I'm starting that rumor. Did you hear that at Cornerstone 2003, Katy Perry stage dived at the Relient K show and died, and she was replaced by a clone? Avril Lavigne style. Did you hear that? Start spreading the news.
I think I heard that from Dan Bacchitis Pod.
So anyway, here is the only live performance of the song that I was able to find. This is Cornerstone 2003.
Bands here this week sing about their faith. And
All these bands are Christian through and through. Oi!
This is definitely a song that's about, our faith as just a couple of guys up here. And something that we say about it is that in life, it's really easy to get caught up in all the crap that happens to you, all the bad situations.
Whoa, he said the C word.
Yikes. I don't know. I don't know if I'm going to let you listen to this band anymore, Danny.
I'm going to have to bleep that.
You get stuck in. This song's about not selling God short. This song's about, even if you think you can do it yourself, just being the bigger person and giving it up to God and not underestimating what he can do.
First, someone's like, shut up and play! But then they start playing, and that same person just raises their hands and start worshiping. Because the cliche is, shut up and play. I don't want to hear about God, I just want to rock. Like, no, what if it's like, shut up, I want to worship? Get going!
This song is for those bad times. This song is for the moments that we feel faint.
So you can't hear them because the camera is a camcorder and it's way back, but the front of the crowd is clapping to the song.
Oh, nice.
And I don't think we're going to get to any of them, but I'll tell you, that is a problem for the covers. There's a lot of live performance versions of the covers, and the crowd of grandmas and moms and dads that are there supporting their kids will start all clapping together, and I'm like, no, parents, please stop clapping. This song is not to be clapped to. It's like when, what was that? There's the Adam Sandler from his first album where he's like, everyone's got to stop clapping. What song is that? I think it's Lunch Lady Land, maybe.
Estimate my Jesus. When the road around you crumbles, you will be strong. Impossibilities. Question in time. Where do I go from here?
There's not a lot of drums in the
They
existing
added a little
song.
extra groove to it live to fill in for those.
Because
to
they
fill
don't
in for
have
not
the
being
acoustic
and
they don't
not
have the
having the strings. Yeah,
and there's percussion in this song, but there's not really drums. And Dave is really he's going at a nice even pace, but he's still wailing on those skins.
I'm searching for evidence I've lost so willingly. He's overcoming these obstacles. He's overcoming my fears. Never underestimate my Jesus. Telling me that there's no hope. I'm telling you you're wrong.
So it's funny, they took a very simple acoustic praise and worship song that you could sing at a campfire or you could sing at Sunday service, and they turned it into sort of a Twinkle Daddy emo style worship song.
Estimate my Jesus. Around you crumbles, will be strong. I think I can, but I think you can. I think I can, but I think you.
I wonder what that sort of I wonder if that's some effects that Hoops has got going, or maybe that Teason's even doing, or if that's some playback that they have set, which I don't know. For 2003, they might not have just a deck with playback sounds ready to go.
Gather my insufficiencies.
Yeah, this is the part that sounds very Foo Fightery to me. You know what you should place in your hands, Thiessen? A pick. A guitar pick. Try putting a guitar pick in your hands. I think you can. I think you can. Very good. And then they're launching into whatever that next song is. I have no idea. I can't think of it right now. Hold on. Does it? Failure to Excommunicate. There you go. So they're playing their two violin songs back to back without the violins. So what did you think of that performance?
It was good. It was fun. Good stuff.
Yeah, it's like a very different version of the song. So I wonder if that's maybe why they didn't play it a lot. Maybe it just kind of slowed down the show too much because they weren't a band that would just slow down the show for a worship set. Maybe they were like, we'll do the one song, but they were like, no, it slows things down too much.
Maybe, yeah.
And maybe also because it exists in such a heightened state on the album, and maybe they just couldn't find a satisfying
You know
way
what
to perform
slows
it live.
things down too much? Deathbed.
Yes, but they can perform Deathbed live in a satisfying way compared to what's on the album. I don't feel like...
Says you.
So there's a church skit. There's a full production FMV. There's sort of a simpler FMV. There's a bunch of covers. There's a ton of acoustic covers. There's no way we can do them all. Lots of church performances, lots of sort of youth groups and youth outreach events where they played this. But yeah, there's Vitamin String Quartet, so that's definitely one we have to play. Let's hear the Vitamin String Quartet perform For the Moments I Feel Faint. Something feels off. Something feels off right away. Like they transpose something and it's not quite hitting right.
Maybe because it starts with the acoustic guitar and they're just jumping right into the strings.
Right. I think we get it. What do you think? That's nice. It's like the most geared up for being done by Vitamin String Quartet. It's like it's a T-ball for them. It's not even a baseball, and they did it. It's nothing, but it's nothing like it's not even transformed because they're just doing the song as it kind of is. There's two different lessons on how to play this song on guitar. One by Will W. and another by Vindicated Soul. There's some people play three friends together play the song, and one of them is playing a melodica. That's that keyboard that you put the tube in your mouth and you blow into it.
Right,
just
right,
like
right,
Biggie
right.
and the kids table use.
Yeah.
But I'm looking for some interesting covers. Here's one by a band called I Believe in Giants. Oh, from only a month ago.
Am I at the point of no improvement? What of the death I still dwell in? I try to excel, but I feel no movement. Can I be free of this unreleasable sin? Never underestimate my Jesus. You're telling me that there's no hope. I'm telling you you're wrong. Never
I'm going to hear a little bit towards the bridge area.
place them in your hands. Place them in your hands.
It's very nice. I really like that. Check them out. That's I Believe in Giants. I also thought of one other thing, is I appreciate that this song is right in the middle of the album. You would kind of think of a song like this as kind of being towards the back half of the album, but it's really right in the middle. And it's positioned there with Those Words Are Not Enough. And, you know, like I said way earlier in this episode, this song, along with Those Words Are Not Enough, are kind of peas in a pod. And it kind of makes sense that you do the bigger rocking worship song into the slower, kinder, gentler worship song. But then in the sequencing of the album, the next song is I Am Lion-O. So here's this very heartfelt, genuinely expressive Christian-based song, and then it goes into a song about the Thundercats. But they use Lion Wilson as kind of a palate cleanser in between. I really think that my theory is that the Lion Wilson little track to open I Am Lion-O is actually there as like a buffer to take you from a genuine expressive song about Christ into a song about an 80s cartoon show. I think they deliberately might have actually done that little interstitial track to kind of get that instrumental thing to sort of cleanse the palate so that parents didn't get offended or something. Anyway, I don't know. I think that might be it. There's a bunch of acoustic covers. There's a bunch of really, 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 really cursed visuals in this as well. Check this one out. I love this. This is a cover by DR and JC. This is amazing. Look at this.
Oh, wow, this choice.
I don't know if they're live or if he's playing this as a playback. So this
Explain
is
what's going on, Danny.
So this is from 2012. That at least is when the video was uploaded. DR or JC, one of the two, is staring at the webcam, and behind him is a CRT monitor, which on the monitor is playing the music we're hearing. So it's this weird, very mid-2000s thing.
Like someone's playing it on guitar, on a webcam
We've
type
seen
thing.
multiple things where the same person plays multiple tracks and then layers the video across the screen in a grid. This is not that. This is the guy is in the room singing to the webcam, and behind him is a CRT monitor playing the footage of what I think is actually him and his friend playing the song on their instruments.
Right.
This is some sort of really strange art. This is so 2000s. And I think he's wearing a choker. He's got one of those beefy tees that were very dominant in the mid-2000s.
Right.
And he's got the most 2000 looking computer speaker. Remember external computer speakers? I guess people must have them nowadays, but
yeah.
not to the extent you had them back then. Well, that's very nice. Let me see if I can find... Okay, this one's by Bobby Lewis. Go look for Bobby Lewis, because...
My name is Bobby Lewis. My hair is a mess right now. Jeez.
This is not Bobby Moon.
And I'm going to be singing along with Relient K for the moments I feel faint.
Are you sure?
You're good.
Can you tell? Look at this image.
I know, it's definitely not, but wow, that is a nightmare. Why did it freeze?
It is... I didn't see this movie, and I recently made a joke about it that I didn't understand what the movie was about, but did anyone see the trailer for Skidamarink? This looks like Skidamarink. This is a dark black room, and the only thing lighting his face is like the red light from like the monitor. So it is like incredibly, there was low contrast. Like you can barely make out that there's even a face in this video.
Yeah. It's pretty
7
horrifying.
views. It can't be explained in an audio format, but you have to go see it. So what else? What else do you want, Jess?
What else do you have? Shipping videos?
No shipping videos for the song about Jesus. Here's Blake Stewart. I'm just going to pick a random one. Here's Blake Stewart. What do you think of this? Again, a visual bit for the radio, for the podcast show.
The framing. Wow.
So they must not have known where the camera was pointed. The camera is just pointed on one of their hands. Like they didn't realize it, and it's just blank space in between.
One of each of their hands.
One guy is on bongos, and one guy's on the acoustic guitar, and they accidentally set the video straight down the middle of them, so you're basically looking at nothing but their arms and their hands. Still a good cover, though, but tons and tons of acoustic covers.
Good stuff despite the cursed imagery.
Yeah. So we'll end on this. This is a live church performance. Doesn't say what church, but it says Big Mountain Quest is the name of the YouTube channel. I don't know if that's the name of the church or just the name of the video.
It's a great name. It's a great title.
One of them is wearing a khaki shirt with a black shirt and a red tie, like he's going to a Green Day concert later, like he's going to go see American Idiot. And there's a girl here who actually has a violin, so I feel like this is the cover to end on.
Nice.
So what do you think, Jessica, of the song Never Underestimate My Jesus? What do you think of For the Moments
I Feel Faint?
Oh, speaking of Green Day, that's one thing. They never... Sorry. They chose to call this For the Moments I Feel Faint. They chose not to call it Never Underestimate My Jesus, and they didn't give any leeway to that. Like when they re-released the album, or when they had like the single, they had the special radio single for Christian stations, they didn't put in parentheses Never Underestimate My Jesus. I'm thinking of Green Day because Time of Your Life was not called Time of Your Life. The song is called
Good Riddance.
Good Riddance.
Yeah.
And it's not even called Good Riddance, Time of Your Life. It's just called Good Riddance. Then they gave leeway and said, okay, it's called Good Riddance, Time of Your Life, so people will find it. And then later on, Green Day and the record label was like, screw it, the song's called Time of Your Life. This is how people find it. It's one of your biggest songs up to this point, so it's just called Time of Your Life. Relient K never made that leeway. They called it. They kept it called For Moments I Feel Faint, and they kept it there. So what do you think of For Moments I Feel Faint? True artists. Sticking to their guns.
Not one of their most popular songs, though, so there is that.
Right.
I think it's good. I think it's really good. I think I might even like it more this week.
I think I like it more as well.
Yeah.
And might seem counterintuitive, but I like C.U.R.B more as well. Even though I like C.U.R.B with the caveat that I just think it's a hilarious, sore thumb in Relient K's early discography. Like, it sounds exactly... I love it for its bad production quality for the same reason I love all the other songs on All Work and No Play. But, yeah, just to think that such a beautiful, soulful, amazing worship song was born out of this rather immature, but, this attempt at something mature that ultimately seemed very immature, that became something even more mature. Fascinating. So I definitely like C.U.R.B. Anyway, we'll be back again in 2 weeks with some other thing. What should we do next time, Jess?
I don't know.
What's left? What's on the docket?
I don't know. I need to look at the Google list. Oh, there you go. There's the violin really kicking in there. Nice.
She's got Jessica when I met her hair. Anyway.
Thanks so much for listening. And stay safe and healthy out there.